If you hood educated, I'm glad you made it. Allow me to unfold my knowledge, wisdom, and understanding from a hood brother's point of view to all of you, here, there, and everywhere. Now check me out. We are on the second day of the federal trial with Lil Durk. And right now we're still in jury selection mode. And again, I gotta reiterate this to y'all. The racial background of the county that Lil Durk is having his trial is not in favor of a man of African American descent. And the reason why I say that is because the African Americans in this community is at the bottom of the totem pole. We like what, 6, 7, 8% of the population. The dominant population is Latino / Hispanic people. You see what I'm saying? Then after them, white. Let's see, again, the Hispanic or Latino is at 49%. White is at 27 to 30%. Asian is at 16 to 17, something like that percent. African Americans, we at 6. So it's not in his favor, right? And in today's jury selection, it kind of tells y'all what I was talking about. Because today, while they was pulling the jury, while they speaking to the jury, one by one, asking them, could they be impartial? Are they going to be able to, look at these guys and give these guys a fair shake? Even though they are charged with murder for hire, stalking, and all this old type of stuff. And somebody died. Will the jury be impartial and be able to give them a fair shake? One juror said, hell no. He looked at all of the co-defendants and Lil Durk and said they look guilty just by looking at them. Nah, they look guilty. They haven't did anything in front of him. They haven't even presented any evidence to him or anything. He came straight out and just said, nah, just by the look of them, they look guilty. So this right here is not hard for us to assume. Whoever this person is, we can only assume that they were not of African American descent. For them to just look at 4 brothers who are innocent right now. They haven't been found guilty. They are innocent until proven guilty. This man right here said, nah, they look guilty. You see? Now, that goes to tell us, right? The racial differences in this county. Like I said, there are going to be some racist people on the jury. There are going to be some non-racial racist people on the jury. This man right here was bold enough and courageous enough to let it be known, hey man, look, these boys look guilty. And I got to honor him for that. And I know a lot of y'all probably say, wait a minute, hood educated, he a racist. Why you? Let me explain to y'all. I honor him for that because he didn't keep quiet. You see? He could have said, hey, no, I'll give these guys a fair shake. Yeah, no, I don't listen to Lil Durk's music. I got a few black friends and, I grew up with black peoples and these guys are just great. But inside feeling like I can't stand these black. You see what I'm saying? Man, all of them look guilty. He came out with it, right? So I'm not mad at him. I like when they come out and they let us see who they is. The ones I'm terrified of are the ones that come smiling in your face. Yeah, them. Smiling, shaking your hand, hugging you. Hey man, you guys are great. But deep down inside, hate you. Can't stand you. Right? Because we gotta realize, some people on these juries will feel like that man felt and hold it to themselves. And then when it comes to the penalty phase, then that hate comes out. I don't care what happened. Them niggas is guilty. Excuse my language. All 4 of them. You see what I'm saying? So I gotta honor him for that, right? Now, another thing happened with the jury that, the judge, well, let me say this right here first. That juror was removed, right? That right there is a blessing in itself, because you can have a prosecutor or even a judge and they can be like, hey, nah, he just said he can't, but once we prove the evidence, maybe he'll change it. Nah, they said, nah, bruh, you got to get up out of here. You already showed us your hand. You got to go. So That's a good thing right there. Like, again, the judge is being fair. The prosecution probably wanted him to stay on there, but the judge is being fair. Now, I got to be honest with y'all, because even though I feel that the judge did make a fair decision, initially, I thought he wasn't going to do that. I thought he wasn't going to have that juror removed. And the reason why I say that is because the juror, again, came right out his mouth and said in front of the judge, the prosecution, and the defense attorneys that, hey, these guys look guilty. Lil Durk and his co-defendants, they look guilty. I have seen people get killed, people get harmed by people that look just like them. Now, you would think that that would be enough, right? But initially, the judge was like, well, maybe, if he hear the evidence, maybe he can be fair. There's a lot of people that say that these people might look guilty because people that look like them have committed crimes against people. But, if he hear the evidence, could he be fair, right? And so when I first heard that, I was like, oh my God, this is appeal. They got an appeal coming. You know what I'm saying? But when the judge went into his chambers, he must have really realized and said, wait a minute, hold on. Because that right there is appealable, right? That's like almost automatic appeal. If they'd have left him on the jury and he would have been able to decide whether they was innocent or guilty, that's automatic appeal. So then the judge came out and made the right decision and said, nah, dog, you got to get up out of here. You see what I'm saying? Now, after questioning a few of the other jurors, some of them was like, hey, I listen to his music. I know Lil Durk. One of the jurors was like, I don't know him, but I looked him up on Wikipedia. I wanted to see what this guy was about. You see what I'm saying? Another juror said, hey, I know the whole story. I know how I know what happened. I know what led up to the murder of Lil Pop and all that. I follow Lil Durk. I follow his music. I follow the drill scene. You see what I'm saying? Now, I'm already knowing the prosecution is like, nope, y'all got to go. Hell no, because y'all sound like Durk fans. But, the defense attorney, they like, nah, we want them to stay because, they familiar with who he is. They familiar about what's going on and stuff like that. And if they familiar with who Lil Durk is, they might have some sympathy for him. You see what I'm saying? So the defense wants them to stay, right? But the prosecution is like, anybody that know anything about Lil Durk, the judge is even in that same boat. If you know about Lil Durk or if you looking up Lil Durk in this whole situation, then we going to get you up out of here. So more than likely, those jurors are going to be struck as well. That right there don't look good for Lil Durk. But if they somehow allow one of them to stay, they could have some type of influence on the jury when they go into deliberations where they can get in there and probably say, hey, no, I don't think Lil Durk did it. I don't think, he was the mastermind and all this old type of stuff. These other guys, yeah, but not him. You see what I'm saying? So it's a double-edged sword. It can help Lil Durk, but it can kill his homeboys. But as of today, there is no seated jurors. And what I mean by that is this right here. The prosecution hasn't picked someone to say, hey, we want them on the jury. The defense team hasn't picked someone to say, hey, we want them on the jury. But it's 80 people that they had to pick from. And from my understanding, they done went through about 40% of that, and they're going to continue selecting the jury on Monday. Now, the cold-blooded part about all this is this right here. The defense got to win. And what I mean by that is this. The judge is allowing Lil Durk's defense and his co-defendant's defense to do background checks on the jurors. Now, I got to be 100. That's the first time I ever heard that, right? But when you got those lawyers with that big time money, they can do things that other lawyers can't do. But they're going to do background checks on these jurors, right? Just to check and see if what they are saying is lined up with their background. Like if they say, hey, I don't know who Lil Durk is, I never heard his music before, they can do a background check. They can go check their social medias and all type of other stuff and see if they lying about that or if they telling the truth. You see what I'm saying? So that's a win because some people can be up there lying and saying that, hey, you know what? I like Lil Durk and, he's a great guy, whatever the case may be. They do a background check and this dude can't stand Lil Durk. he would FBG them, you know what I'm saying, and stuff like that. Like, that's a good thing for Lil Durk's defense, that their attorneys are allowed to do background checks on the jurors. Now, the jury pool consists of 80 people, right? But out of that 80 people, they need 12 to be seated jurors. These 12 people will be the ones that will be deciding if Durk is guilty and his co-defendants are guilty, or if they are not guilty, right? But not only do they need to seat the 12, they need to seat 4 alternate jurors, right? And the reason why they need the alternates is because of this right here, y'all. Let's just say that one of the 12 jurors that is seated gets sick. Something happen. They can't show up. Life happens, right? They would have to take one of the alternate jurors and then seat him or her as one of the jurors, or the juror that had left. He would be in place of the juror that got sick, or, you know, can't show up, or whatever the case may be. And so he would take the place of that juror that has left, right? Now, again, I believe that there are 40% through all of the 80 jurors. So now, you know, it's crunch time, because Monday and Tuesday, I'm thinking that they want to start doing opening statements around that time. So now with the remainders of the jurors, they got to start seating peoples. They got to start picking people and saying, hey, yeah, we want him. We don't want him. We want him. And the cold-blooded part about that is that it's crunch time. Some of the people that they pick, they might not really want, but they compelled to. Some of the people that they might pick, they might think that might favor Lil Durk. Some of the people that's going to get picked, they might feel like they're going to favor the prosecution. You see what I'm saying? But it's crunch time now. Now, the only way that they can, you know, do away with that jury pool is if they put in a motion to say, hey, look, this jury pool right here is mad. We don't want nothing to do with them. We need a whole nother jury pool. You see, and usually that type of stuff like that don't happen. But hey, you know, you never know. If something like that happened, then you know the opening statements will be pushed farther back, because now they got to do the whole process with this new jury pool. Well, that's it for today. I mean, it wasn't nothing too exciting, but I'm going to follow the trial all the way through, and I'm going to keep bringing updates. Again, you know, for those of you who missed the video that I put out yesterday, in this video about Lil Durk, I'm saying that how Lil Durk could beat his case. Go check out that video. It should be somewhere around here on the video screen. This is Hood Educated, not lame related. Peace and love. And y'all take care of yourself out there.